Good afternoon, good morning, everybody. We'll just wait 1 or 2 more minutes to admit a few more people, and then we'll start. I'll hand over to my colleague, Jonathan, to start. Okay, I think it's 2 minutes past 4 here in Vietnam and 2 minutes past 10 in the UK. So we have quite a few people already joined us, and I'm sure more will join in the next few minutes. But we'll make a start if that's okay. So I'll hand over to my colleagues, Jonathan and Neil, to start us off.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Prelim 2, Global Partnerships Enhance Local Teacher Development. Today, we're going to be looking at sharing experience from Prelim 2022. My name's Jonathan Hadley, and I'm here in the UK with my colleague, Neil Harris. Neil and I, to start with, would like to share with you information about the Prelim 2022 course. But to show the kind of spirit and methodology of this program, we're not actually going to tell you about the program, but instead, we're going to ask you to discover for yourselves what the program was about. And to do this, I'd like to show you some images which represent the program. So I'm just going to share on the screen. Please have a look at these images. At the top, you'll see some logos. What do you think they mean? On the left-hand side, you can see 2 pictures that go together. What do you think they represent? In the center, you can see an image called CPD. What does that refer to? And underneath that, you can see the Prelim 2 project with some arrows pointing at the P. And to the right, you can see some numbers, 5 and 5. What do you think they mean? Can you please put your guesses into the chat box? What do you think the Prelim 2022 program was about? Have a go.
Jonathan, thank you very much indeed. So, as Jonathan has invited all of you to do in the spirit of this program, we're asking you to interact with us. So we've got our first answer across the top, I think, looking at the logos of sponsors. Thank you, Anne, for the answer there. Okay, nearly. There are in fact 5 logos here. 3 of them were sponsors, but 2 of them were participants. And that's also a clue to the picture in the bottom corner where we're pointing to the word P. So we'll give you a few moments to start putting your ideas down into chat. The purpose here is just to get you thinking about what this project was all about. So let's wait for a few more answers to come in. Perhaps if we guide you to be looking at the two pictures in the corner here. Yes, fantastic. Teachers from mountainous areas. Absolutely. We were very keen with Prelim to involve teachers in training who perhaps because of their rural location found it difficult to access high quality training like this one. So yes, could I just ask, please, that we give the participants the sorry, not the people on the call who were involved in Prelim, but some of the other people to participate rather than giving the answers ourselves. Okay, but yes, good point here. We've got a comment. With Prelim, teachers can do what they couldn't do before. So yes, this is the idea about upskilling teachers from rural areas in Vietnam. And it was fantastic looking at the feedback that we achieved something like 95% of our participants on our two courses who were from those rural areas. And thanks to VietTESOL for helping us to find those teachers and to provide training for them. Now, on that comment, on that point of the word training, what do you think CPD stands for? And again, if I can ask those of us who were involved in Prelim to hold back a bit to give other people the opportunity to answer this. So I think the P here is just to let you know it's a different P from the P here. So for those of you who are talking about this being a group of sponsors together, they were working together. So what do you think the P might be in Prelim? Collaboration, yes. But can we think of a word that has the idea of collaboration but beginning with a P? Thank you very much indeed for an answer here about continuing. Yes, that's right. Yeah, this is continuing. I think we've got an answer for the P in Prelim as being about partnership. And that was a really important part of this program, that we wanted to have strong partnership between our teachers participating in the program, our Vietnamese English Teacher Association, VietTESOL, and ourselves, Jonathan and me from CELT. Yay, thank you very much indeed. Yep, CPD, continuous professional development. So I think we've picked out the logos. We've understood that this is all about gaining confidence for teachers in rural areas. P for partnership, C for continuous professional development. So we're just left with one final question here, the 5 and the 5. Now you'll see that there are two people from CELT here today, my colleague and friend Jonathan Hadley, myself. So what do you think was the relevance to 5 as far as Jonathan was concerned? And what was the other 5 where I was involved? Any ideas? 5 weeks, yes, brilliant. So we've got 2 lots of 5 weeks. We had 2 courses, and this is a lovely handover now to Davide from the British Council, who will explain a little bit more about the background of Prelim and also how we ran 2 courses. Jonathan, a 5-week program for teachers in primary education, and then following up with a 5-week program with myself, looking at working with teacher colleagues from both secondary and high schools. So thanks very much indeed for your participation. I'll now hand over to Davide, and then we'll look forward to hearing the voices of some of our fantastic teacher participants on this program. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Neil and Jonathan from CELT. So, yeah, so good afternoon, everybody. My name is David or Davide Guarini Gilmartin. I'm at the British Council here in Vietnam, in Hanoi. It's a beautiful sunny afternoon here in Hanoi. Hope it's nice wherever you are in Vietnam or in the UK. So yeah, this afternoon we're going to spend the next maybe hour or maybe a little bit longer talking a little bit more about the project, and as Neil just said, hearing from some of the teachers. You've already had a very brief introduction to the course, the Prelim 2 course. I'm just going to say a few more words about that in just a couple of minutes. Oops, bear with me. Just some housekeeping. Yeah, feel free to keep your cameras on, but if you want, but it's probably easier if you don't. And please keep your microphones on mute during the main session. If you have any questions or any comments as we go through the session today, please feel free to put those in the chat box at any time. There'll be some time at the end as well for you to ask some questions or make some comments as well. I'll try to pick up on those as we go through. And please note as well that this session will be recorded so that we can capture the ideas and some takeaways from the course, and we'll be posting it onto our YouTube channel. We'll tell you more about that towards the end of this afternoon session or this morning session. So yeah, by attending, hopefully you acknowledge that your image and your comments may be recorded. Okay, so now we've got the housekeeping out of the way. What is Prelim? Okay, so you can see there on the right hand side, Prelim stands for partnered. Neil was just talking about partnered remote language improvement projects. So basically it started last year in 2021. There were 20 global partnerships, and the aims of the project, again, Neil and Jonathan have already touched on these. One was to increase not only the language proficiency, the language improvement, but also the professional confidence of English teachers around the world. How is this being done? By the British Council and other partners, VietTESOL and English UK in the UK, supporting partnerships between teachers, between English national teacher associations such as VietTESOL Association here in Vietnam, and English UK member schools. And you've just been introduced to Neil and Jonathan from CELT, which is a language school, a language centre in the UK, in Wales in the UK. And the third aim also is to build a sustainable community of practice. You're going to hear more about this community of practice idea from the teachers in just a few moments. If you'd like to learn more about Prelim, again, I've put on the side, on the bottom there, the link to Teaching English, and I'll put that in the chat in just a few moments for you as well when I finish speaking. So that's an introduction to Prelim. So last year, Prelim 1 was again VietTESOL Association here in Vietnam with Wimbledon School of English from the UK, from London. Again, there's a link there which I'll put in the chat in just a few minutes if you'd like to learn more about Prelim 1 last year. But this year we had Prelim 2, which is what Neil and Jonathan have just been introducing. You can see on the right there a slide of some of the participants. I think that was at one of the opening ceremonies, if I remember rightly, or closing ceremonies from Prelim 2. So this year globally, the project expanded from 20 partnerships around the world to 40. So much larger around the world. In Vietnam, still VietTESOL Association, but partnering with a different language school, a different language centre from the UK, which is CELT, as in Neil and Jonathan. And as you've already heard, there were 2 courses, one for primary teachers, one for secondary teachers, and they had teachers from 11 provinces across out of Vietnam's 63 provinces. So quite a good representation from provinces in the north, the centre and the south of the country. So that's a very brief introduction to Prelim and to Prelim 2. But as Neil said, rather than listening to us, we want to give you an opportunity to hear more from the teachers themselves. So in the next session, you're going to hear from one of the teachers from the primary group, Alice talking. Alice will say a little bit more about herself, and then we're going to hand over to 2 teachers from the secondary group, Nga, who's from Sơn Tây, and Mung, who's from Nam Dinh, and they're going to say a little bit more about their experiences on the course. Remember, you have chances throughout to ask questions, so I'll be keeping my eye across the chat box. So if you've got any questions at any time, please put those in the chat box. And at the end, we'll be telling you, so towards the end of the session, we'll be telling you a little bit more about some next steps in CPD. So we've already explored through Neil and Jonathan's earlier stage, what is CPD, continuing professional development. So we're going to talk more about that. So please remember to put your questions in the chat. And with that, I'll stop sharing and I'll hand over to Alice. Alice, over to you.
Yes. Let me share my screen. Thanks, everyone. Can you see my screen now? Yes.
Yep, that's very clear. Yeah. Thanks, Alice.
All right. Yeah, to start with, I would like to express my appreciation for all the sponsors for giving me such a great opportunities to join the Prelim 2. And today, in behalf of the primary teacher group, I will present my reflection of the course so that our other audience get to know more about my course that I have learned. And yeah, so Miss Nguyen, please notice me because I'm a talkative one. So, okay. Firstly, let me introduce myself a little bit. As you said, I come from a remote area in the middle central of Vietnam. I'm from Con Cuông, Nghệ An, a mountainous areas, and now I am an English teacher at my small school here. That is one of the context of mine that why I couldn't reach a lot of our courses, and thanks to the Prelim, I have such a great opportunities. And when I still struggling with some question like how can I improve my English, how can I improve my teaching skill, because you know what, as a primary teacher, I always want to improve my speaking skill and listening skill because at my school, my students try to imitate whatever I say to them. So they have learned from me a lot. So, and yeah, accidentally one day when I surf the internet and I see on Facebook, I saw the Prelim 2 poster, and I applied for the project, and luckily I was selected from 500 candidates. So lucky me. Thank you all the sponsors, but especially thank you for VTA K-12 for selecting me again. And yeah. Now let me tell you about what I have learned from the course. In this course, I have experience in the blended learning, a platform that many of you have heard before, but maybe for me, I experienced myself the first time. This means that I have a week ahead to read the document provided from my teachers, and then we discuss with other partner like the classmates, the facilitators, the trainers, and we share a lot of things based on the topic that the trainer given us. And at the end of the week, we have face-to-face classes, and our trainer gonna extend all the knowledge, not only the knowledge, but also practice speaking more English because we have time to interact with each other face to faces. And now let me tell you about the content of the course. Here, the content of the course seems quite basic to all the teachers. The first week, we learned about starting and ending lessons. Week number 2, we learned organizing the classroom. Week 3, presenting new language. And week 4, setting up pairs and groups. Week 5, praising and encouraging students. And one of the most things that I impressed about the course, that is our trainers, he always, after the first 2 weeks, he asked us, he always make a poll after the face-to-face classes that he asked us, like, should we learn this topic next week? It means that I have the feeling that we have the voice and our voice has been heard by the teachers. If we have just the fixed topic, then sometimes if we are not really interested in that kind of topic, so it's gonna be so boring. But now we all love the class, and we all the way waiting to meet the teachers. That is one of the most things. Thank you to Jonathan. And let me tell you more about the content. Here in week 3, we learn about presenting new language. And as you can see, we have many topics, the subtopic. And teacher give us a lot of materials, the articles, the videos, even his own video. And at the end of the week, after the face-to-face classes, we also have the quiz, so we can check ourselves like how many percentage of the knowledge that we have learned and we remember, and we can see on the quiz. And to do this kind of thing, I think my trainer has to be a very dedicated and hardworking teachers. And let me introduce to you my teachers. Yay, Mr. Jonathan. I drew this picture myself and I did this images myself because this is Jonathan in my eyes. You know what? When we're talking about primary school teachers, we talk about the energies. Yeah, so Jonathan gave me the image of a teacher with a lot of new things that I can apply in my teaching life. He left chance all the way, makes a chance, and even for me at first, I don't like the chance, but after classes with him, I do the chance all the time. And one of my students tell me that teacher, you should join some kind of competition about singing. Well, I cannot believe that anyway. So Jonathan, thank you again for all of the things that you have given me and my classmates. And let me tell you about the impact of the prelim to the course. I have to say that the course name is to improve the confidence of primary Vietnamese primary school, uh, secondary and high school teacher in using English as classes. For me, I understand that is we have two parts. The first one is about the ability of using English, and the second part is about teaching. And here you can see on my screen, that is the first part I have done. After the prelim, I become a more confident teacher. And David did offer me an opportunity to work in the teacher webinar series. And I work with other teachers from other countries and I speak confidently. And I think that is the result from whatever I have practiced with Jonathan and my other friends when I keep speak English every day with them. Yeah, that is the first impact on me. And how about the other aspect about the skill, the teaching skill? And now I would like to show you my video. So this is the video of I applying a technique that I have learned. So I want you to watch the video first because it's really short. So please tell me if you can hear it because I cannot see the chat box.
3, go. Point to the window. Point to the door. Point to the ceiling. Point to the floor. Very good. Let's do it one more time. 1, 2, 3, go. Point to the window. Point to the door. Point to the ceiling. Point to the floor. Clap your hands. Sit nicely and look at me. Okay, very good. It's very nice. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, you should look at my video of me and my student right after I studied with Jonathan about the chant. So I want to ask you, the participants, a question like, which part of the lesson that you can adapt this kind of chant? Because I cannot see the chat box, so please, the organizers, can you just help me to read the chat if they have one?
Sure, Alice.
Yeah.
No comments at the moment in the chat.
Yes.
Maybe repeat the question, and we've got
Yes,
about 40 people on the call, so maybe just if you repeat the question, maybe I can keep an eye on the chat for you.
Yeah, yes, thank you. So my question is really easy. That is, in which part of the lesson you can adapt this kind of chant? Because we have many other chants and songs. Okay, so I think that a lot of teachers gonna recognize this kind of song and chant that we can use to get student attention, right? Yeah, and one of the things that I have learned from Jonathan that is an activity for the ending and the beginning and the endings of the lesson as well. And you know what? We have such many kind of chant in these activities. Like I think you're gonna know this. I gotta sing a little bit. Rain, rain, go away, come again another day. Teacher want to play. Rain, they listen to the song. Uh, they're gonna know that it's time for games. So they're gonna collect their books and we'll get ready for the games. Okay, so hope
A-
that you can give me
Alice,
more.
we've got a couple of comments as well in the chat.
Yeah.
So it was because I know you can't see the chat because you're sharing your slides with the video. So Chumha says warm up and practice. Okay, and Anne says, and Chumha also says your voice is perfect. So commenting you on your singing voice there. And Anne also says for speaking activities, writing or teaching grammar as well.
Wow, okay. So you think based on whatever I want to say. Okay, so I want to talk about this type of the chant. This chant is more suitable for the ending of the lesson and at the end of the lesson or when you want to get your student attention. For example, for me, when my student, they just finished the game and I clap my hand 3 times and I say point two, point two, point two. And then my students, they know that it's time to chant and then settle down, no more talking, and peace time for teachers.
And
Yeah.
Alice, that's Nyum, as you were describing that, Nyum wrote in the chat at the end of the lesson. So
Yes, yeah.
so
Thank you,
Nyum got the right idea there as well. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much. And oh wait, yes. And this is right thing that our Jonathan teach me at week number 1, starting and ending the lesson. So you know, I learn and then I apply and then I come back here to share with you. Hope that you're gonna love that. And I noticed that one of the comment is about this kind of part. So would you like to look at my video here? A short one too. Okay, I'm gonna force you to watch it.
But we can't hear the sound, Alice.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna share this again.
Yeah, it was the first one was absolutely fine, but for some reason that one we couldn't hear.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Here we
How
go.
many
Okay.
how many clouds are there? There is one cloud. There is one cloud. Very good. Wait. Listen. How many trees are there? Good. There are 4 trees. You say there are.
Okay, so you see that one of the comments said that I can use a song and chants in the to introduce the new vocabularies and new sentence pattern, right? So that is my evidence. So I want to ask Jonathan that what you what you think about me, your student, after the course that I applied this thing on my class, and for other participants, I have a question for you, like why should we use the song to our students to teach them new vocabularies and sentence pattern and also practice it?
Okay, so you want the participants, the people attending, to write in the chat, Alice? Yeah.
Yes, please write in the
Okay.
chat.
Can you repeat the question again, Alice, please?
My question is, why should we use the songs, the chant to practice and or introduce a new, new target language,
Mm.
especially for young learners because my part is young learners.
Let's see. If we see anything in the chat. Chumha says to boost students' motivation in English learning.
Wow, very
And
nice.
Joe says because kids love songs, they learn well with melody. Nga says songs help learners to remember new words better. Liu Tang Fuang says help students concentrate on the lesson. And Luan also says make the lessons enjoyable.
Wow, they all read my mind, David. Yeah, you all see that. For me, one of the most important thing that is because the lyrics they are repeatedly, and for the primary school student, the imitation from the repeatedly thing that fun, interesting, and they like it, gonna help them a lot to support their memories. So yeah, you read my mind. So okay.
How many?
Okay, so this thing we all learned in week number 3, present new vocabulary, new language, just not vocabulary, but also other aspect of new language. And yeah, and I may think that a lot of teachers here gonna ask me or Jonathan like, Alice, how we can make chants. So Jonathan just give us some tips on how to make chant. Refer to Caroline Graham tips, the famous writers for the songs, right? Okay, so I'm gonna give you some a quick brief. Like number 1, you should choose the topics. Number 2, you should think of 10 useful or appropriate words. And then number 3, you should group words by syllables and then invent the rhythm and beat. But I know that a lot of people good at music, but not me. I'm not good at inventing. So how can I help other teachers? So I comes up with an idea that I want to share with you. That is my favorite activities. Based on this activity for the original one. On my screen, you can see 2 of my favorite channels. The first one is Super Simple Song on YouTube. And then you can see the supersimple.com. That is the website that they support back to the Super Simple Song. The point is here, there are a lot of melodies, the rhythm that you can just find which one that you are, interest in, and then you can create. For example, for me, I love the when I taste a sentence pattern, let's go to the bookshop, I want to buy some book. Then I cannot create myself anything. So I think about my favorite song, The Farmer in the Dell. Na 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 na. So I compose myself something like let's go to the bookshop. Let's go to the bookshop. I want to buy some books. I want to buy some books. All right. So you see, my student that I think that is a reason why my student always say that teacher, you're a good singer. Why don't you come to showbiz and become a famous one, like something like that? Um, because the song here, I think this is an opportunities for teachers who are not really good at composing. You can try to find the familiar rhythm and song to create and just change the word. Then you have a perfect song for your lessons. That is my tips. Yeah. Okay. And yeah, I have a lot more activities, but because now I cannot see the screen, so I'm gonna tell you something, but I cannot see you. So please, can you do the action with me? Is that okay, David?
Yes, we can try
Uh,
to do the actions. Yes.
yeah, okay. This is one of the most of my favorite activities from Jonathan's. This activity called listen and respond activities. You know what? In when I teach my student, I always focus on the listening comprehension. And listen and respond activity is one of the best practice for them. So children. Okay, pretend that you're my students. Okay, children, please show me your hands. Yay, very good. So when Peter say a food word like rice, please raise your hands high above. Good job. And when I say milk, a drink, you tap your head. Very nice. And when I say a word, fruit or vegetable like banana, you clap your hands. Okay, clap your hands. All right, good. Now let's practice with me. Okay, 1, 2, 3, fish. Yay! Raise hand. Fish. Raise hands, right? Okay, good job. I see a lot of hands here. Okay, so how about lemon? Lemon. Yay! Clap hands, right? Okay, the point is, I want to ask you a question. What do you think of my instruction?
Is that
Please.
is that a question for the
Yeah, a
participants,
question.
for the people
Yeah, yes.
taking part today? Okay, so
Yes.
we're not students anymore. Phuong has said clear.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Phuong. Anybody else? What do you think about Alice's instructions for that? Nyum has also said clear, very clearly. Nga said with the model.
Yes, my word and my model, right?
Okay, so yeah, rather than giving the instructions, you gave a model of how to do the activity. Yeah. So thank
Yes.
you. Who was that? That was Nga. Thanks, Nga. Nyum says easy to understand. And Neil says nice and clear. Great demo. Show not tell. Yes, that's very nice. Okay. Yep. And one more. Luan said easy to understand and follow. And Ngop also said clear as well. So that's some feedback from the participants, Alice.
Yes, thank you. Your feedback, okay, it cheer me up. And you know what? All the things here I learned in week number 2, organizing the classroom, how to make and how to write good instructions. You know what? In the prelim too, I have learned many things that seem to be basic, but it's really important and necessary for all the teachers. And the principle of our giving instruction that is we call KISS, keep it short and simple, right? And hopefully that you all recognize that I want to my instruction is go to that flow. And okay, yeah, this is a picture of my students. We're trying to discuss about the classroom rules here in the classroom rules. And I'm wondering how you manage your class, how you keep them how you keep them, obey to you all the time. But because I think I quite a lack of time here, so I'm gonna show
Yeah.
you that in
Oh.
the class in the primary in the prelim 2, I have learned about how to praise and how to encourage students, and we talk about the routine that we should have. One of the routine is about the classroom rules and other activity as their routines, and also learn some language to praise and encourage students, like how to say if they do the good work, we say very good, excellent. But when they do quite good work, what should we say? So they all provided by the trainers. So I appreciate this thing. And yes, of course, we have many others activities. So I'm gonna move on to this part, me and my community. And I think this is the last thing. Thanks to our all the sponsors and the project Prelim 2, I have learned a lot of things, and I give myself a responsibility that is to share what I have learned to my communities. I have a whole so many workshop about each topic we discussed about how to give instruction, how to present a new language, and all the fellows, my friends, my trainees, and especially in Nghệ An and other province in the mountainous area, they join my class and they feel, wow, thank Alice for giving us such a great opportunity to know the knowledge. So I just want to offer the sponsors and please, I hopefully that the prelim 3, the third prelim gonna happen very soon. So other teachers like me and other friends can join the course and they gonna have the such great value that like I have got. And yeah, no one share one. If you have a lot of students in the prelim, I think that the thing that the global partnership will enhance the local teachers, right?
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks very much, Alice. Thanks to you for sharing. Yeah, and thanks. I see Jonathan's round of applause from everybody. If you can show your appreciation. Thanks so much for sharing. That was really great. Again, if you've got any more questions, please put them in the chat. We'll have time after the next presentation from the secondary teachers. We'll have time, a little bit of time for some questions. Before I hand over to Nga and Mung, there's one question in the chat that I'd like to pick up, Alice, very, very quickly. Chum Ha says, maybe too long for small children. So talking about that little activity you did with us, I think, when we did the hands up and the touching the head and the clapping, what do you think? What kind of age group did you use that activity with?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry because I forgot one of the most important things that I want to tell you. That is adaptation. You know what? When we see any activities, and I think personally with Jonathan, when he see my presentation, he gonna see that I change a lot of activity from him. So no matter what your student age, a group of age, you can change to make it appropriate with your student. So don't
Okay.
worry,
Yeah,
give it a try.
That's very good advice. Okay, and again, and thanks to Chum Ha for that question. And again, if you've got any more questions for Alice, please feel free to put them in the chat. And then in the Q&A later, we'll maybe give Neil and Jonathan an opportunity to ask you one or two questions. But we're running slightly behind, so I'm going to move on quickly if that's okay. So we're going to move from the primary teacher and the primary group experience through the eyes of Alice. And we're going to move now to the secondary group, and we're going to hear from two teachers, from Nga from Sernte, who works with lower secondary grade 6-9 teachers, and Mung from Nam Ding, who works with grade 10 to 12 teachers, grade 10 to 12 students, sorry, not teachers, in Nam Ding. So Nga, over to you. Are you ready?
Yeah, okay, thank you, David.
Thanks,
Let me
Nga.
share my screen. Yeah.
Sure.
Can you see my screen?
Yep, we can see fine.
Yeah, all right. So hello, everyone. Thank you very much for the introduction, David. I'm so happy and grateful to be here today to talk about my personal experience on prelim project. As a teacher, one of the things that I highly value is the opportunity to be trained to become a better teacher. And this project is definitely something that I was lucky to participate in and learn so much from. And so today I'm grateful to be here to talk about my experience. And firstly, I want to express my sincere thanks to British Council Vietnam and VietTESOL who organized this valuable course for us. so that we had a great opportunity to develop our teaching methods and as well as build our confidence. And from bottom of my heart, I want to thank our trainer, Neil, who inspired and motivated us to become a better teacher. Now let me start my presentation, something about us. My name is Nga. I'm an English language teacher from Hanoi, Vietnam, and I have been teaching English for 12 years. I got my BA degree from ULIS in 2009, and my co-presenter, Miss Phạm Thanh Xuân Mừng, she's a teacher from Trần Hưng Đạo High School in Nam Dinh City, and she has been teaching English for 17 years. And she earned her master degree in English teaching methodology from ULIS from ULIS. And in our presentation today, we would like to share about 3 main things that we learned from a prelim course. The first one, what course has given us? The second one, why the course is worth doing, and the last, what impacts the course is already having on my classes. And let's Miss Meng will share about her personal experience for the first thing, the first question, what the course has given us. Over to you, chị Mừng ơi.
Thank you, Nga, for the introductions. First of all, like Nga and Alice, I want to express my gratitude to the sponsors and teacher who gave us the opportunity to take part in this course. I feel very lucky and grateful. I'm so it's my great honor to be a representative to give reflections on what the course has given us. Firstly, I think the course has given us a great teacher. Neil sets a good example of a great teacher. He's really devoted to teaching. He's well prepared, supportive, friendly, open-minded. He's not only teaches knowledge and methods, but also inspires us to become a good become good teachers. And secondly, although the course lasts 5 weeks, it covers many aspects of teaching English. In which one we would taught how to introduce ourselves in an interesting way, how to give clear instructions. In week 2, we were taught how to introduce new language, and in the third week we dealt with mixed ability. The next week, we were taught how to engage and motivate learners. And the last one, we learned how to teach writing effectively. And thirdly, we also have the chances to access various sources of valuable materials, such as articles, videos, research, websites. And in the course, Neil entrusted us to use digital tools such as Google Classroom, quizzes, Quizlers, Kahoot, Google Forms, Mentimeter, Jamboard. Especially, the teacher asked us to discuss in the breakout rooms, and I was really impressed by the way Neil managed breakout room. We had chances to interact among groups. And last but not least, in terms of pedagogic methods, teaching methods, I will touch useful knowledge about teaching methods in practical ways. Now, sets a good example in this when he present his lessons. Before lesson, he asked us to read materials so that we can went deeper when we attended the live lessons. And in the live lessons, he guided and engaged it to take part in different activities so that we can achieve the lesson objectives. And after the lesson, participants were required to finish the quiz and revise the lesson and give reflections on what we learned. And I hope the course has given us. Now, I would like to introduce Nga will broaden our presentation. She will talk about why the course was doing. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, chị Mừng. Okay, so let's go to the second point of our presentation today. Why the course is worth doing. So as an English language teacher, I also encountered so many difficulties in finding the best way to teach my student. So as you know, we often have mixed ability and mixed level of student in our class. And beside that, the objective of the lesson in the textbook is often very general, too general and broad. So, but after taking part in prelim course, I learned a lot and improved my teaching methods. So that's why I want to repeat this part from chị Mừng part. She also talked about the pedagogical methods. So, and now I want to make it clearer in more detailed. So during the course, we have learned many variety of pedagogical methods. So the techniques and the approaches that we learned from the course. So you can see here, I list down some of them that very typical and also very important that we learned. So you can see from number 1 to number 4. Do you know this? If you don't know, it doesn't matter because later we will explain more. But now I want you, please, can you write in the chat box if you know any? Have you used any kind of methods like the techniques or approaches in your class? So
Yeah,
Mừng, can you help me to look at the chat?
I'll help you as well, Nga, in case Mung, can you see the chat? Because I know Nga's
Yeah, so
sharing.
you just write down the number. Yeah.
You'd write the exactly. I was going to say, if you write the number, and preferably not as Neil said before, preferably not those of you who were attended the same course as Mung and Nga, but maybe others. So if you know what number 1 is, like we're having a conversation, Alice and a few other people are talking about Ling Lei. So what is number 1? ICQ, or ICQs rather. And what is number 2? CCQs.
So some teacher wants to know what is ICQ, CCQ, right?
Yeah.
PPP.
PPP as well.
Okay, so because I want to keep it secret, because later chị Mừng will have a lesson more. It's not really model lesson, but she will show something for you, and she will explain about ICQ, CCQ, PPP, and KWL.
Okay, brilliant.
Okay, so if you don't know, it doesn't matter. So let's move to the next part. A sense of as you know, the course gives us a lot of benefits, and one of the thing that I think we get, that is a sense of self-confidence. That is the most important thing for teacher when we take part in this course. And thanks to teaching methods that the prelim course gives to us, and thanks to the lesson from Neil, I think I myself become more and more confident. So the grammar lesson become more and more communicative, and it's less boring, and writing lesson become easier for my student. And beside that, in life lesson, the teacher have the chance to interact with the trainer, because Neil asked a lot of questions during the life lesson, and so many teachers, they become more and more confident to interact. And in the breakout room, we have chance to discuss with each other to do the tasks in the breakout room. So that's why we feel very comfortable and very confident after the course. And the third thing the course gives us, that is a sense of inspiration. As our trainer Neil is devoted and distinguished teacher who inspired and motivated us a lot with wonderful lesson, useful materials, and careful preparation for each lesson. So we always look forward to taking part in our lesson. And beside that, we are inspired by our colleagues too, because as you know, we have a Zalo group and many colleagues. When we took part in the course, we gave the task answer in the Zalo group, and we felt inspired by each other because other teachers, they work very hard for the course. So the first thing that is we have the sense of responsibility. So Neil set a good example of being responsible. The way he prepared the lesson, the materials and everything, the participant become more and more responsible, because our teacher, he is very responsible for the course. He prepared very well. So the participant, we took part in the course very actively and in a very serious way. We when we have the live lesson, everyone join the lesson on time, turn on the camera and get ready for the lesson. That's very important thing. And the last thing I want to share about this question, that is a sense of community. So as you know, PRELIM has helped us to build a very strong community for Vietnamese teachers to learn and share. We have Zalo group to share the question, share the answer, to share our opinion after each lesson. The teacher writes a message and appreciation message to the trainer, and also we feel that we like the family, because we help each other, we inspire each other to become a better teacher. So that is a very important thing from PRELIM that gave us. And now I want to move to the next question. What impacts the course is already having on my classes? To answer this question, I want to show you, to share two practical examples from the lesson that I adapted, that I apply after PRELIM course. The first lesson is I teach writing for English 6. And as you can see here, this is a writing that is the objective from the course, just writing about a dream house. But after the course, I think from, oh, I'm sorry. Let me share again. Do you see my screen? No.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we can see. Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry.
All right, thank you. Yeah. So from the course, we learn about the way we make a SMART objective. So it's very clear, very detailed, so that we will know that after the lesson, what student can learn. And here is the lesson from the textbook. You can see here the activities the textbook gives us. And here something I applied. I have clear and detailed objectives. And in the lesson, I use some kind of classroom management. I use pair work and group work for students to work together. As you know, writing is not about the individual task. It also can work in pair or in group. So I use that for my lesson. And scaffolding techniques, I really impressed when Neil gave us this technique, because as you know, to have students to have clear vision about how to write a good paragraph, we should give students the scaffolding technique, so that student will know the structure of the writing. And the last thing about working with a model text, I have a question for you here. That is, do you often use model to teach writing in your class? Just say yes or no in the chat box. Do you often use writing model to teach writing in your class?
You're getting a few yeses here. Lots of yeses.
Yeah.
From Alice, from Nyum, from Ngop, from Cho,
yes.
from Phuong,
yes answer,
from
right?
Khoa. Yeah, everyone's saying yes.
Okay, yeah, very great. Thank you. I move to the second question. Do you use a good or a bad model text to teach writing? Do you use a good or a bad model text for teaching writing. So just comment good model or bad model, please.
We're getting a few people saying both, and also some questions, some answers to your earlier question. It depends on the student's level, and it might be based on a sample from the textbook. So a couple of extra comments as well for you there, Nga. And so
wonderful, thank you.
Kwa says
so
it
I'm
depends,
happy
or
to hear that.
maybe some good and some bad samples. So again, maybe we need to be critical about the samples, the text that the model text that we get in the course book, in the Ting Ang course books.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. I'm so happy to hear that you use both here, both good or bad sample. So yeah, I want to share with you something that I learned after the course. So I also use this time, I use the bad sample and I deliver the activity for my student. So I give the student the handout with a sample that have some mistakes. And I asked my students to work in groups to find out to find 2 sentences that should not be in the paragraph. Find 1 mistake in verse 10 and find 2 sentences that are in wrong places. So as you know, before I give students this activity, students have already learned about the structure of this writing, and so they know the order of the sentence. So that's why when I give them this sample, they will know what's wrong with the sentence, which one is wrong, which one is put in the wrong place. Yeah. So I think we shouldn't just give students the good one. We should give them the bad one as well, so that when they work together, they will find out the mistake and they learn from the mistake. Yeah, so that's the activity I give my student. And I go to the next example, practical example. I teach my student reading. And for this reading, in the textbook, they give us the objective, right? Reading for specific information about life on another planet. And my adapted objective here, learning key vocabulary through the text, learning the key feature about Mars, skimming to find the heading for the passage, and scanning to ask the question from the passage. And now I want you to look at the task, some activities the textbook give student. And for this lesson, I use KWL chart, classroom management, student work in group. And as you know, reading, we often have this difficulty. Students have mixed ability in the class. So for this lesson, I give students same topics, same materials, same task, but plus extension tasks for students with higher levels, because with better ability on levels. So for this task, and also I have some adaptation for task number 4, because some students, they have the difficulty in finding the answer or have the whole the full sentence when they answer. So I just ask them to answer with 3 words or 4 words or two words or 3 words only. Yep. And you may wonder about KWL. So can someone give the answer in the chat box if you know about this technique, KWL chat? So please comment in the chat box.
Okay, I will keep my eye on the chat for you. Nah,
Thank you, David.
I know you can't see the chat.
Very
If you're looking on
thank you so much.
Let's wait and see if we've got any answers from anybody. We have 40 or almost 50 people on the webinar so far this morning, which is great. Nyum says keywords. Thank you, Nyum.
Keywords.
That's Nyum's answer. See if we get 1 or 2 other possible answers from them.
Not. Yeah.
That's okay. We're just getting some guesses at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm waiting for your guessing.
Let's see. Anybody else? What is a KWL chart? What does KWL mean? So Nyum's guessed keywords. Mung? Well, I think Mung might know. No one to know. No want to know learns. Okay. Chumha has written no want to know learn. Okay.
Yeah,
Similar
excellent.
idea
Yeah,
to Mung, yeah.
no want to know lunch. Yeah, exactly. So now I
Okay.
want to share with you. As you know, students learn about Mars. So that is very interesting topic, a very interesting planet in the solar system. So when I start the lesson, I give my student a handout that on this I draw something like know, want to know, and learn. And I give the student, they need to work in group and they will write something that they know about Mars. So here is some answer from my student. One group, they give the answer, they know that Mars is a red planet and it is the first planet in solar system, and they want to know, is this the hottest planet and is this bigger than the Earth? So yeah, that is before we read the reading, and after that I give my students a task. They read the passage, and then they will know that at the end of the lesson, the student need to write something that they learned from the lesson. That is, Mars is a reddish surface. It's 95. There's 95% of the atmosphere is carbon dioxide. Yeah, so something that students learn from the lesson and they write it down here. So I think this activity gives students very the interesting way to learn and to know about something. We will know that what students want to know. For example, here the student wants to know, is this a hottest planet? And after that, they found out that Mars is smaller than Earth and Mars is not the hottest planet in the solar system. Yeah, so that's the activity that I apply, that I adapt in for my student in the lesson.
Thanks.
And now we move to
just before you move on to hand over to Mung, just to say that Luan has written in the chat as well, which I think is a very nice comment, that we can find out our students' needs as well through the KWL.
Yeah, thank you, Lan. Yeah, exactly. So we will know what students want to learn from the lesson and after the lesson. Yeah, excellent. Thank you. Yeah, so now we want to move to the next lesson. Chị Mừng will teach, not just give the lesson about grammar. As you know, when we teach grammar, something is boring, but now we will learn something very new, very different, very communicative from chị Mừng. Yeah, chị Mừng ơi, over to you.
Thank you, Nga. Thank you, Nga, for
Mừng ơi, I
introducing
stop
me.
sharing and you will share, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let me stop sharing.
Have you
Yeah, I stopped sharing, so you can share now. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you can share.
Can you see my screen now?
Yep, very clear, Mung.
Yeah, thank you. I will show you what it makes. The course is already having on my course, but before I demonstrate my lessons, I would like you to answer my questions, because I will teach grammatical lessons, and this is in the textbook English 10 Unit 8, New Ways to Learn. And as you can see, I have adapted the objectives. This is the textbook's objectives, and this is my objectives. By the end of the lesson, students will be able to distinguish two types of relative clauses, defining or non-defining clause. And they can use the relative clauses to talk about how electronic devices help them to learn. And this is my question for you. How do you teach grammar? Mr. Ravi, can you help me to see the chat box? Please type the answer in the chat box.
Thanks. My colleague Queen just reminded me I was on mute. Apologies. Yeah, Mung's question to you, all of you, primary or secondary teachers, how do you teach grammar? So Alice has said in context, sentence patterns, not rules, as she's a primary teacher. So thanks, Alice. Yeah, that's maybe primary, a different approach to teaching grammar than secondary teachers. So maybe some of the secondary teachers who are on the call, how do you teach grammar?
Thank you very much for the answers. And this is another one. This is the techniques and methods and approaches I have learned in the course. And as I mentioned, some acronyms. And I saw the chat box. Lingley is right. ICQ is instruction checking questions. CCQ stands for concept checking questions. And I have two more acronyms. Who knows what are these acronyms stand for? Please type the answer in the chat box.
Okay, so the CCQs, is that right, Mung?
CCQ, concept checking, BPP and TTT.
Okay, all right.
I have seen the answer to the first one, to the ICQs and CCQs from Lingley.
Okay. Yeah, they were. That's right. Lingley put them in early, didn't she, in the chat? What about PPP or TTT? We have some answers. So Alice has put in present, practice, and production.
Perfect. Yeah. Production, the same.
And TTT. Someone. Alice again. Teacher talking time.
I'm sorry, it's not correct. Another try. Yeah.
Yeah, Luana's also put in presentation, practice, production. Ngopang has put in test, teach, test. So that, and you've just shown it on the screen.
Thank you, Ngopang. You have the you have the correct answers. This is the approaches we can use to teach grammar. And now, in my lesson, I will use some techniques and approaches listed here. Please follow my demonstrations and tell me, decide which techniques, methods, or approaches I have used in my class. Yeah. This is the procedure. In the warm-up, I have let my students to play a quiz to revise the new words they learned in the previous lessons. These new words can be used to in the new lessons also. And then I present the objectives so that students know today the new lesson they will learn what in the new lessons. And I set the context by using realia and asking questions to lead to the sentences using the relative clauses. You can see what it is, student smartphone, what it is, laptop, phone, are they in electronics? Do you have? Please type in the chat box. And how useful are they in the teachings? Can you share with us which electronic devices and how useful are they in the teaching? Type the answer in the chat box, please.
So are you asking us to type in as students now, Mung? Yes, not as teachers. Is that right? So imagine that we are grade 10 students. Is that right?
Yeah. The participant play a role as students to happy.
Okay.
It is right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for example, Alice has written interactive whiteboard, but maybe a student wouldn't write interactive whiteboard, but a student could write laptop. So Nyum and Alice have both written laptop. Yeah.
And how do you use the laptop in the learning?
Mm-hmm. So is that how useful is that the second question there? How useful are they in your learning? So Alice has written to search documents. Nyum has written to read materials.
Yeah, and this is the way how I use electronics in my teaching. Laptops and smartphones are the modern devices that which have changed the way I teach. They are perfect devices for people whose work involves teaching online. My smartphone and laptop can be used to prepare my lessons, which can be shared with the class. And the person who bought them for me is my husband.
Okay.
Yeah. Look at the lesson. Look at the following sentences and by relative pronouns. Can I invite a student, a participant, to by relative pronouns?
You can. You can. Let's see. Raise
your hands, please. Raise your hand, please.
Yeah. Well, Alice.
Nobody?
Oh no, Alice has written some in here in the chat. I'm looking to see if any other participants can have a go as well, rather than the usual suspects. Hoang has written. Hoang from Namding has written that, whose, and which, and who.
Thank
Well,
you.
yeah, Vulan Hoang
Hương,
from
can you
Namding.
unmute? Yeah. Hương, can you unmute the mic and tell me and figure out the relative pronouns in these sentences? Hương, please.
I'm not sure if they're guests, maybe they can't unmute themselves. That could be a problem. So that's why I'm reading them out to you. Numa's also written which, that, who, and whose.
Thank you. Thank you, Nhung, very much. You are right. This is the answers.
Okay.
And yeah. And
yeah.
I would like you to look at the sample, the sentence again. The person who bought them for me is my husband. Who bought them for me is a clause. And I have some questions for you. Does this clause give detailed and necessary information? Yes or no? Question number 1. Does this clause give detailed and necessary information? Yes or no?
Wait, we're waiting for some answers here, Monk. I know you can't see the screen. I'm waiting to see if any of the participants, maybe not some of the usual suspects, but maybe other. Okay, so Hoang from Namding has said yes.
Thank you, Hương. Yeah. And the second question, is the sentence complete without it?
Hoang has said no. Hoang says no. Hoang from Namding says no to your second question.
Great job. You're right. The sentence is incomplete without it. And it is placed between commas or after comma.
We're waiting for answers. Luana also says no to your second question about is the sentence complete without it?
Thank you, Lan, for the great answers. Yeah.
And then Fung says, for your third question, Fung says no commas. And Hung from Namding also says no commas.
Thank you for the collaboration. Thank you very much. Yeah. And now, help me to answer these questions. This question now you come back as a teachers, right?
Okay, so now we're teachers.
You have to play. Now you are teachers, not a student anymore.
Okay, great.
Are these questions ICQs or CCQs? I have used 3 questions. 1, 2, 3. Are these questions ICQs or CCQs?
Hung from Nangding says CCQs, as does Alice. Anybody else? Do you think this is an ICQ or ICQs or CCQs? Fung also says CCQ. So you're getting lots of CCQs there. And Luan also says CCQs, Mung, as does Tang.
All of them are correct. Yeah,
lots of that.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, they are CCQs. Before I took in this course, present grammar points in a traditional way, I will explain a lot of things, and then I let my students to do some exercises to practice. But when I have chance to take part in this course, I changed the way. Instead of explaining too much, I ask CCQ questions. It seems that my students get involved in the lesson more, and they feel excited to answer the question, and they themselves elicit the use of the grammatical point. And then I told them that this is the defining relative clause, and I also asked them to pay attention to watch out. Defining relative clause gives detailed and necessary information, without which the sentence is incomplete and is not placed between or after commas. After the student elicit the use of the, I hope that the student can elicit this use of defining relative clause. I will ask the student to speak out the uses, and this is a expected answer from me. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I give them another example. And another example. My smartphone and laptop can be used to prepare my lesson. We can decide with the class. The whole class, please role play as a student. Yeah, and I have 3 questions against.
Okay, Mung, I'm gonna
clause.
Mung, I'm gonna not me. How much more time? Because we only have 10 minutes left, and we have to do the Q&A as
Yeah.
well. So, how much more time do you need?
So I think 2 or more minutes is okay.
Okay,
And then
all right, sure.
as you can see, this is CCQ questions again, and the student can elicit the use of non-defining relative clause. Yeah, and I give them more practice to distinguish 2 types of relative clauses. Activity 2, I ask students to work in pairs to use relative clauses to complete the sentences in 5 minutes. And then I ask, after reading the requirements, I ask them some questions like, when you work in pairs or in groups, how long will you work? What will you do? Can you tell me, are these questions ICQs or CCQs?
Okay, so this is for the participants, yeah. So Hung from Nangding says ICQ. Anybody else? Do you think these ones on the screen now are ICQs or CCQs?
Thank you, because time is limited, so I keep presenting. Yeah, they are ICQs, and this is one of the techniques I like most in this course. When I use ICQs, I feel I have become more confident when giving instruction without needing translate the requirements into Vietnamese again. And this is one of my favorite techniques. Yeah. And activity 3, I ask the student to work in groups, use the relative clauses to talk about how electronic devices help them to learn. And I also provide them an example, the model, some sentences to help them for their presentation. And as you can see in the picture, they discussed enthusiastically. And I also ask the student to give some students to present their results. And now that's all about the procedure. I present my grammatical lessons now. Decide which technique the participants. Please tell me which technique, method, and approaches I have used in my class in the chat box, please. As a teacher, can you tell me?
Okay, we'll just wait a few seconds, Mung, see if we get any answers. So you're asking which of these techniques on the screen have you used?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what people say. Chum is putting his or her, I'm not sure if that's Chum. Hand up. Can Chum speak? Yeah. Chum, do you have a question or comment on in answer to Mung's question? Oh, no. Okay, hand's gone down. Let's see if they come back. Getting some answers. Hung from Namding says PPP. Ngas.
Yeah.
Yum says ICQ, CCQ, PPP. Nga says ICQ, CCQ, PPP, personalization. And Huang from Namding has also added scaffolding and personalization as well as ICQs and QQQs. And Luan has added games as well to that list. So Mung, which techniques did you use?
Yeah,
okay.
most of the technique except TTT in my in our lessons. So to sum up, we have learned a variety of techniques and approaches, and most of which we can apply in almost every lessons. So once again, I would like to thank you, and I hope that in the future we will be given more chances to take similar courses like that. And I hope the course will last longer than 5 weeks. We want to learn more. Yeah, thank you very much for the attention.
Thanks, Mung. Thanks, Nga, for sharing. Wow, there's so much there so much sharing there from Alice, from Nga, and from Mung about their 2 courses. We have very little time left, unfortunately. I said at the beginning we try to finish by 5:30 Vietnam time. So we only have 5 minutes left. It's been great to see all the comments and the feedback in real time in the chat, and I think we've covered most of the responses there. Maybe Neil, I would like to just, while we wait to see if there are any final questions for Alice, for Mung, or for Nga, let's just see if maybe Neil or Jonathan, do you have any comments or any questions you'd like to put to Alice, Alice, Nga, or Mung, while we wait for any additional comments and questions in the chat? Neil, are you on? You're on mute, I think.
Not so much a question as a round of applause to all of you and congratulations. I think had you been asked to speak so fluently, so passionately, so confidently in a British Council webinar before this course, I think you might have been a little bit kind of, but just to see the way in which you are taking some of the suggestions that Jonathan and I made and are making them relevant and useful to your local context is absolutely fantastic. And I'm just so incredibly proud of what you have done today. It's amazing. And I think looking forward, we hope there may be a prelim 3. We hope to be able to make the courses longer. And we are already talking to VietTESOL about opportunities for further CPD. I think that's something, Davide, you wanted to talk about and VietTESOL wanted to mention as well. But, you know, you are model teachers, and thank you so much for bringing your passion and your understanding and sharing it with all of us today. It really was fantastic and very humbling for us to be able to see.
Thanks, Neil. Yeah, and just before, I can see Jonathan wants to come in and say something. Just to say to everybody, yeah, again, if you look in the chat, from Luan, thanks for your sharings. From Ngop, thanks. From Nyum, thanks for sharing. From Hachamha, thank you all for an interesting webinar. So no questions yet. I'm still looking for any questions, but lots of positive feedback just to add to what Neil has said. Jonathan, maybe a final word from you before I just to talk about some next steps, talking about CPD and continuing beyond the prelim courses, as Neil just mentioned. Jonathan?
Just a quick comment. I mean, everything that Neil said, but also the course was designed for teachers, but it's great to see the effect on perhaps the most important people, who are the students in the classes, who are getting these great classes from you that are really interesting and well organized. That's wonderful to see.
Yeah, thanks, Jonathan. Yeah, my question was about I actually wrote down, can you give us some examples of some activities or techniques that you now use with your students, going back to Jonathan's point. But Alice, Nga and Mung have given us fantastic examples of practical activities and practical techniques and methods that you are using in your classes to help your students with their learning. So that my question is redundant now because you've answered that. And again, Ling Lei has said fantastic presenters, wonderful workshop. So still no final questions. I'll keep my eye on the chat, but thanks everybody for all your comments and all your positive feedback to our presenters today, and thanks to Neil and Jonathan as well for sharing. It's 5:29. I'm just going to I'm just going to put on just for a couple of minutes. If you can just stick with us for a few more minutes, everybody. I just want to share my slides a final time. Bear with me a second. I'm jumping between screens. Okay. Yeah. So we've it's great to see your interaction as well during the workshop and all your contributions on the chat, even though we haven't got any final questions. That's fine. But yeah, next steps in continuing professional development. You can see on the right there, we've got our Teaching English page, the British Council Teaching English page. We've got our Facebook page. If you go into Facebook and just put in Teaching English Vietnam, you can see in the middle there. And I mentioned as well our YouTube channel. You can find our playlist there for UK Vietnam Partners in Innovation education programs. You can see the webinar there from Prelim 1 last year from some of our digital innovation funds projects. So yeah, those are just some examples on the right. Jonathan, do you want to talk a little bit about the Globe online community of practice?
Yeah, just quickly. So if you go to Transform ELT, you will find on their webpage a link to the Globe platform, which is an opportunity for teachers from all around the world to carry on with CPD. It's completely free. Sign up and register. We have primary, secondary, university teachers. So Transform ELT. Go onto their website and hope to see you on the Globe platform where we can share ideas and learn from each other.
Thanks, Jonathan. And maybe you could put that, if you can find the URL and maybe put that in the chat, that would be really useful for everybody as well. Yeah.
Coming in now.
Brilliant. Thanks. Yeah, as Neil mentioned, CELT, who Jonathan and Neil represent, are already in discussions with VietTESOL Association about further partnerships going forward, and as are we, the British Council. We're also discussing with VietTESOL Association about various activities and continuing looking at different programs, different kinds of CPD we can do going forward. Annie, I'll give you a chance if you want to say something about that, or if you want me to continue. Okay, so, and don't forget that this September, the VietTESOL Association will be organising the VietTESOL International Convention in Nha Trang. After 2 years of online, this year we'll be going back to face-to-face or hybrid, face-to-face and online in Nha Trang in September. So we're all excited about that. And also, again, on the British Council Teaching English website, I'll try to put the link in just a moment. You can find lots of new MOOCs. So at the moment, if you look at the top there on the right-hand side, you can see teaching pathways, skills for remote teaching. And Alice just took part in that in a webinar about that just a couple of weeks ago, and you can find that as well on our YouTube channel. So there's lots of things still happening and going forward. And our next webinar in this series will take place on Saturday the 11th of June. And that will be looking at some research that 2 Vietnamese researchers who work and live in the UK and at Manchester Metropolitan University, Phung Dao and Mai Nguyen, will be talking about their research in the secondary classroom, giving peer feedback between students as part of classroom task-based interaction and interactive activities. So we're looking forward to that webinar on Saturday the 11th of June. So again, keep looking out on our Facebook page and you'll see examples of that. Finally, the last thing I wanted to mention, coming up as well, are our teacher activity groups. So Jonathan was talking before about a global community of practice, and the teachers, Alice and Nga and Mung, were all talking about the community of practice using the Zalo and using the Zalo groups. So we're creating teacher activity groups in 11 provinces across Vietnam. So if you're in any of these provinces, then look out through your local DOET, look out to see information about whether you can, if you're a primary or a secondary, a lower secondary or upper secondary teacher, whether you can join the teacher activity groups, the pilot teacher activity groups in these 11 provinces. So yes, if you're in those provinces, keep your eye out for those. Okay, and I think that is all that I wanted to share for now. And thanks, Alice, for putting in the link for Transform ELT in the chat. Cham has asked a question. When will prelim? Waiting for prelim 3. Eager to wait for prelim 3. Yes. Prelim 3 won't be happening this year. If it happens, and we all hope it will, that will probably be again about November time, and then sort of January to March next year, 2023. Okay, but as I mentioned before, in the meantime, do look out on our Teaching English page, on our Facebook page, and you'll see lots of information of lots of other CPD activities over the next few months here in Vietnam and globally as well. And I'll put those in the chat as well. Okay. Okay. If there are no more questions, it's 5:35, so thank you for staying a few minutes over. Really appreciate it. And I think one final time, we have to say a huge thank you to everybody on the screen. Hope you can see everybody on the screen now. I can see Neil and Jonathan joining us from CELT, from Cardiff in Wales in the UK, and also to our teachers, Alice from Ngayan, Nga from Sơn Tây, and Mung from Nam Ding. Thanks so much for all your sharing today. And to all the participants who stayed with us over the last hour and a half, thank you so much for participating and for all your comments and questions on the chat. We really appreciate that. And we hope to see you at our next webinar in a few weeks' time in June. But for now, have a great rest of the weekend. Thanks, everybody, and see you very soon. Bye for now.